Hello, everyone. How are you doing? This is Daryl Guberman, CEO of Guberman PMC LLC. Happy almost before Labor Day. I just want to leave you a special message because I just did a video for TikTok on the value of accredited certification. And as we've seen with the accreditation of Ansi-Anab, who is up Boeing's ass like a hemorrhoid on a Tuesday, and also Lockheed Martin and all the rest of those companies who are breaking the Sherman-Clayton Act and trying to tell Richard Blumenthal's staff, the DHS, which is like pissing into the wind, if I may be so bold to say that. Pissing up a rope. Because the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, sits on the American National Standards Institute and the American National Crediting Board's board. They're a member of Ansi-Anab, the accreditation body that Boeing uses. The DHS had a gentleman, a Mr. Phil Mattson, who is representing the DHS on ANSI's board, getting $262,000 tax-free a year, plus his federal salary. As I found out when I was down in Washington from a judge magistrate who works in our government, he said, that's illegal, Daryl. You cannot, as a member of a government agency, sit on a private company, okay, but because it says American National Standards Institute, everybody thinks it's with the government. No, it's not. It's a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental company that has both federal agencies and corporations on board. So getting back to the DHS and Phil Matheson, he gets $262,000 tax-free. They only meet maybe once or twice a year for 2 hours, drinking their tea and crumpets and all this stuff. And it's just a bypass of money. Pass the money, pass the money. He's and how can we have reliability on the DHS subcommittee when you have this guy representing them on Ansi-Anab, Boeing's accreditation body, okay, that they shoved down their suppliers and subcontractors' throats. I've told you that time and time again. How can we have reliability on that? And I stood in front of them on April 17th, raising two documents that show without a shadow of a doubt that Sam Salipar, the whistleblower, okay, for the 777, 787, was telling factual truth and data. There will be a catastrophe. And what happens is Robert Kelly Oberg, who was involved at RTX, which is Raytheon/United Technologies, between 2017 and 23, he retired in 21, so at least 4 years of his employees going to different countries of suspect of cybersecurity issues and technology, stealing technology or cybersecurity. And his employees were taking sensitive data on their computers there and exposing the situation where they could have been hacked, and I think they even have had data taken, unlike the B-2 bomber, the Flying Wing, the F-35, F-22, etc., and missile systems, okay? And that was under Robert Kelly Oberg's leadership. Is this a leader that Boeing needs or wants? Okay, this is not a good leader. He brings 348 ghosts with him from the Ethiopian and Indonesian airline because when he was the CEO of Rockwell Collins /UTC or RTX, when he was the CEO, that system, the MCAS system, was designed, manufactured, and implemented under his leadership, ladies and gentlemen. If it's Boeing, don't get going, and I'm a shareholder. So I'm going to tell you what your value of your certification is. You tell me if Boeing is paying for something that is worthwhile. They should come to my company, for God's sake. We represent you for the full spectrum of quality. We're not in bed with all of these people. But let me show you this. Let me read this to you, okay? We have this document. This is a factual, this is a web page that came off actually Ansi-Anab, and this is what it says. Is your certificate accredited? All I'm going to do is read the first sentence. If your certificate was issued by an Ansi-Anab accredited registration company, which is a CB, certification body, which is no more than a registration body, the answer to this question is probably yes. An accredited certificate should include both the CB marks, register mark, and also the accreditation mark of the accreditation body. Be sure to look for both those marks. So you know what we did? We wrote a letter when we saw this back in the day when Randy Doherty, who was at that time the vice president of ANAP and the chairman and principal of the IF Tax Report, IAF, International Accreditation Forum, which is an association of accreditation bodies, both national and international, and their sister organization, ILAC in Australia, which is the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation. Ansi was the founder, okay? Ansi is the founder of this, okay? And here it is. Ansi is the founder of the IAF. Ansi and ANAB are underwriters, okay? And if you don't believe me, ladies and gentlemen, I don't bullshit. Only Boeing bullshits, and I own stock in them. It's disgusting. You take a look at this. This is one of the many contracts we have, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see if I can fix this. Oh, sorry. There we go. Here it is. Here's one of the contracts, and this is what it says. Right over here. It says, Ansi-Anab is an underwriter for the International Accreditation Forum. That means that they take any legal fumbles or fables, both systematic and also product failure, and it's on them. Any association, any accreditation body that sits on the IF or ILAC are equivalent in accreditation to Ansi-Anab. That means if there's failures in Europe, those European companies can come after Ansi-Anab without a doubt. That's a almost $100 million company, okay? $100 million not-for-profit organization. What do we call that? A mess. So what I want to do is I want to tell you about the accreditation that Boeing maintains, that Lockheed maintains, that Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson maintain. Whether it's Ansi-Anab or an international equivalent like UKAS out of England or Accreditation in Italy, or DACIS, okay? DACIS is another one that's in Germany, if I remember correctly. When you have this mess, what are we talking about? They're equivalent in accreditation to Ansi-Anab, so Ansi-Anab are legally responsible. So we're looking at what is the function of accreditation. Accreditation under Ansi-Anab is no more than a piece of paper. And when I go out there, when I first started my business, and I still go out now, it's been 13 years doing this accreditation/consulting business. When I go out there and these business owners say, well, Daryl, you got to pay to play. It's a ticket for the game. A ticket for the game. When Boeing in 2002 on their supplier bulletin gave up inspection of their suppliers to a piece of paper that's AS9100. Ladies and gentlemen, don't fly. You know something? Yes, you're going to say flying safe. But for 22 years, do you want that lotto ticket to pop up? Meaning that one of those parts that may not have been heat treated properly, welded properly, bonded properly, riveted properly to come loose? And you have a failure and you're up 35,000 feet? Because that's exactly what it is. I'm a shareholder of Boeing. Do you know how bad I feel? Do you know how bad I feel when Stephen Mollenkopf was the guy who sits on Boeing's board that picked the dark horse? And no, Robert Kelly Oberg is not a dark horse. He's a dead horse, bringing 348 ghosts with him to the shores of Boeing. I sent... Okay, here's some of them. I sent 11 booklets out to the board members of Boeing, okay? I sent 11, okay? I received these green cards back. Did you hear anything from them? And that's how much they respect a shareholder like Daryl Guberman. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you a fact. If it's Boeing, don't get going. I mean that. All right, I've got all of this documentation. That's why they haven't touched me as yet. What are they going to do? Put a gag order on me? A $214 billion organization like Boeing? No. When they sit down with me and we sit down and talk about quality initiatives that can benefit the company and recalibrate them, because Mr. Oberg will not do that at all. Look at it. He was on RTX. When his own personnel were basically giving out information all over Europe and China and Russia and what have you on their PCs. They didn't have any cybersecurity instruction. That goes from top down. That isn't middle management. That's an edict from the CEO. But most of you are going to say, that's not true, Daryl. My number is 203-556-1493 or Daryl, tqrs@yahoo.com. Remember this and remember this. Accreditation under the guise of Ansi-Anab. You take a look. Boeing, Lockheed, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, they all have failures under that accreditation. I thank you.